Hello and welcome to Pro Wrestling 101. I'm your host, JP John Poz, from the two-man power trip of wrestling. And joining me, of course, is the man known as Binflation, I think. He is from the Hamin Media Group. He is, of course, Ben Hamin. Ben, welcome back to Pro Wrestling 101. How you doing today, sir?
Ya Allah, John Poz. That's right. I'm raising your gas prices to match the $5 face slap. So every time you're at the pump and pump it up 1 gallon, you're going to get a $5 smack in your face and your fat ass wallet, moron. So I'm back here on Pro Wrestling 101 to talk all that inside shiz on the biz.
What do you think about the raise of gas price? It's getting a little crazy, don't you think?
Well, I mean, I import my own, so I don't have to worry
Nice,
about it.
nice.
But yeah, dude, this is very, very similar in a very strange way of shoe being on the other foot. Doesn't really matter because it's new world order running everything. But when I was in Louisville, and we were post 9/11, 2006, just really getting the seriousness of Iraq and Afghanistan every day. Gas prices went from $2.35 over the course of 18 months to $4.35, $4.45 in there. And every week I would, in my early heat days, I would just say, I'm coming out. If you don't bow before me, infidels, right now, get out of your seat and bow before me and declare Ben Hamin and the insurgency the greatest force in all of wrestling. I will raise your gas prices a dime. And then next day gas prices are up 8 cents. Come back to the arena next week. I told you didn't want to listen to me. You will bow before me. By the end of the month I will raise them a quarter if you do not bow, infidels. By the end of the month they're up 30 cents. People start going nuts around $3 to $3.60 in there when it gets above, when we're pretty close to that right now, bro. What was it yesterday? I paid $3.39 in New York, in upstate. So we'll probably cross $3.80 by Christmas. I wouldn't doubt that, and people will lose their minds, bro. When it hit $4.35, it was a dangerous situation. It really was, in those backwoods of Kentucky and shit along those lines, dude, because that's all people know is Arabs oil, right? In London, Kentucky, or Lebanon, or any of that shit. Like, so it was so easy. But here we are, again on my own, going down the only road I've ever known. And yeah, like I've got all that. I've got the 20-year anniversary of 9/11. Still, people, with World Trade Center 7 truth, have to admit that it was the inside job. Gas prices are on the rise. The Taliban take over in Afghanistan and a worse debacle than the end of Vietnam. And we have domestic at home. Now parents are being called terrorists that can be investigated if they threaten school board members. So the police state has come home and the chickens to roost. All I have to do is go out, say thank you, laugh now, and and people hate me that much more because it's a total victory in the destruction of what was the American dream. And Ben Hamin just has to laugh.
Can't believe that Ben Hamin is singing Whitesnake songs of all things. What the hell? What the hell's going on?
Oh yeah.
But that is some great heel heat because it's like it's so easy right now. Like, oh my god, damn, Joey B making it easy for you.
Yeah, real, man. And all the vax stuff too, obviously. So it's just people are so worn out of this prison planet that they created for themselves by complying with so many lies that they knew were lies in the face of it, from the fake news, completely technocracy that runs everything, giving up all their rights away to hit I agree on some cookies. I mean, and the NSA is clocking every single thing you do. And, meanwhile, we're in World War IV. It's not a war with bullets and bombs yet. I mean, wait till Taiwan pops off probably in about 2 months. But right now it's about supply chain. It's about like the finance your dollar. What do we just do? Raise the debt ceiling, and we're about to have massive shortages of everything. and these ships are offshore holding this cargo. Who is making that call? And then we also have airline shutdowns because of mandate vaccines. Like, you're talking about a country with a false sense of stability in an infrastructure that is very much a house of cards. And right now you're Jenga and that motherfucker left and right. And people still want to hang on to some leave it to beaver 1950s mentality. And that's where I pluck the heartstring, and they just can't handle it, bro. My heat's that easy right now.
No wonder Captain Kirk wants to go back up in space with Star Trek, you know?
Yeah, fuck them. I'm out of here. Fuck them, pal. I'm out of here. Beam me up, Elon.
Yes. So as far as Pro Wrestling 101 in the topic today, this was sent in by a great fan. They wanted to hear about ring gear and hear you talk about some ring gear. So who makes it? Where do you get it? Is there many places that make ring gear, or is there just specific places you should go to?
There's a lot. It's a lot easier now to find great ring gear makers than it used to be. And first, let me preface by saying my ring gear sucks and it should be better. Not my gear, because I love my boots and my gauntlets from Steve the Shoe Man. Go to @Steve the Shoe Man on Instagram. Give him a follow. He's done everything from stuff for Lacey Evans, Dalton Castle, Chelsea Green, a lot of NXT talents who need multiple pairs of boots. And he does custom shoes and stuff too. So if you want anything, he even does fan boots at a lower price. If you guys seen my gold boots and my black boots, then actually,
where are those boots?
Where are they? They're right over there. Yeah, hold on.
All right, Ben's going to be leaving the set here for a second. He's going to be getting the boots. Oh, he's back. He's back.
Like these.
Oh, those are nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Steve the Shoe Man's. And they're nice inside. So I've sent him a lot of bids. So he'll send me
Iron Chic style.
Yeah, you gotta have chic boots, bro. And I didn't used to. I just had combat boots. But I love them, and I got a black pair with myself on them as well that he made me with matching gauntlets, and sometimes he'll just send me gauntlets to give to the locker room to the boys and girls to be like, hey, I had extra material, I made these up, hacker, I know you're out there. And it's like a business card, and they're pumped to get them, especially when I would work like UPW, where they had like younger guys who don't have gear at all yet, you know what I mean? And it wouldn't have me on it or anything. It'd be like alligator swag or hot pink or something I'd give to Colin Delaney or whatever. But yeah, gear is essential in the way it looks. So for me, like I say, my gear sucks. I'm wearing my pro wrestling t-shirt because I'm a fat fuck and I really shouldn't be wrestling shirtless. It's going to discredit me. People, even though GGP's like, dude, you're jacked upstairs. So you can lose the weight just wrestling a singlet in your camo pants. And then I wrestle in BDU camo pants, real military issue. And I have a, digital camo, and I have night vision camo. But I mean, a lot of indie guys do that just because they don't have gear. For my character, it works, obviously.
Right, it makes sense. Yeah.
I'm a fucking mercenary terrorist who's outfitted in American, whatever you want,
just like the Taliban. Yeah,
exactly. So it works. And excuse me, I have my own ISIS flag with my face on it. It says Infidel Crusher on it. Big scimitar sword. Just easy symbolic things that they see in the news that isn't exactly like that, but is easy enough to take away. And I get over in my entrance. So waving the flag and running people down, they've already got their money. When somebody beats me or pins me, or if I'm getting heat, then the match in between isn't going to be it'll be sufficient, but the storyline and the original heat is what's most important in my match, because I'm not going to go out there and do incredible shit that that Davey Richards and Alex Shelley are going to do, but they're not going to get over like I am with character. So I know my part on the show, and I think it all adds to it. I've worn flak jackets and helmets and all types of sunglasses and shit, but to me, that's my get up: chic boots, camos, and my own pro wrestling t-shirts to get my own merchandise over. So and cover my body. The reason I also kind of defend that is the homoeroticism of wrestling, which started in the Greeks with men wanting to wrestle with young boys back in thousands of years ago, or what have you, right? And still goes on today. That they would be wearing nothing. And now we went from that to like some taste, but for guys to get in speedos and want to roll around with each other is a weird thing to me. If I'm gonna get in a real fight, I'm not gonna go, hold on, I'm gonna kick your ass, but first I gotta strip down so we can get chest to chest. And
Right.
if you've ever put your shoes on while wearing tighty whities, it's one of the weirdest feelings in the world. Now we expect our wrestlers to go out and do that. Well, why do we do it? Because we should have great bodies that we want to live vicariously through, and there's a whole reason to show the beauty of the human form. But it is homoerotic, in my opinion, to put on tidy whities and boots and go roll around with a man. So I feel like I'm more of a man dressing in a t-shirt and some military fatigues than this weird shit that goes on. And I've used that in promos before to like, why do you like to undress and roll around with men? I keep my clothes on. Like, that's very strange to me.
Right.
So that being said, now your gear can make you, and it can make big moments and make things stand out and get you merch sales. It can get you heat. It can make people laugh. It can make you look cool. So it's very important. I mean, Seth Rollins, of what he's wearing with the douchebag character, and I'm talking gear of like the suits that he wears,
Right.
reinforces what he has going on. Sami Zayn's gear of this kind of Fidel Castro thing was very kind of anti-establishment, right? Like a little Alex Jonesy, a little Castro, like they could have gone that way with him and it influenced his character. I think Rey Mysterio is probably the biggest example, him and Rob Van Dam, to my opinion, about switching up your gear and keeping it in the same vein, because both those guys, I believe, have the number 1 and 2 most action figures, because they invest in new gear like you would maybe see them wear it 2-3 times in a row, right? And then they got something else on, or they'd swap it out for a while. And there's so many different versions of their action figures now based on the
Yeah,
different
especially
gear.
Ray with the gear and the mask and everything, and people love that shit because,
Yeah.
I mean, he always does a good job with it, and it looks like, it's not some cheap stuff either. I mean, he's got some
No.
awesome gear.
So an investment in gear is an investment in yourself and character. As far as, and I got plenty of, shemang and my robes and shit like that cover not just what I'm wearing, to add to the big Darth. When I come out, I feel like I'm Darth Vader, like with the, shit going, and that adds to my swag too, because they believe it too, because I'm believing it. So with Ray, and then Ray can step it up and do something awesome like he always does at Mania, to be even a more special thing, whether he's doing Iron Man or remember when he came out with the awesome headdress and shit, bro, like all
Yeah,
that type of
yeah,
stuff is money making gold. And dude, he made 10 million just on mask sales alone. So
yeah,
you are a baby face and you find a way to connect. Gear is very important, very, very important, right? A heel shouldn't look too flashy, in my opinion. Like, not that you can't look good, but you don't want to be the bright colored, fun looking type of gear. Even though it might fit you well and whatnot, you got to really look the part and have it reinforce what your character is. So that's one of my big things I'm a proponent of. In the early days, High Spots was the place to go. Coming off of the Hardy Boys run, everything was pleather and looked like shit, and you could go through High Spots and you probably still can on their website and find some stuff that was quick made in Mexico and shipped up here that looked like Jenko jeans and that it kind of looks like it's made out of hefty bags to me, but hey, you're an official backyard wrestler, indie wrestler. You got your first pair of High Spots gear, right? So
right.
that you can get singlets almost anywhere if you wear them underneath or whatnot. But then you can if you find a good fitting singlet from a good company, a lot of times you can get them custom now, but if not, you can go get things screen printed or get pieces done up by a seamstress, and hopefully it'll look good enough to, to really do something. But in the 2021 age, there's so many great gear makers that can be found on Facebook, and all you need to do is go to almost any uh, wrestler's page, and they'll be on there. You can send somebody a DM, but if you don't know how to use Instagram and that, then hit the call button and Tommy will come back and hit you in the head with a tack hammer because you are a retard. But yeah, there's I know there's some people in Florida who are doing a lot of stuff, from John Morrison's gear to Leo Rush's, and these individual seamstresses and makers and tailors are now really making great things. And once in a while you'll have a guy like, I think, a Timmy Danger, and he was in OVW and saw the fact that guys needed gear. He taught himself how to be a tailor, and his gear has improved over the last decade. JD Michaels was a guy who made great gear, dude, when we were in OVW, and he really would even step it up because he was tagging with Pat Buck after Buck and I were done, and Buck turned heel on Conway, and they became top shelf talent, TST. And they dressed like Sean, but Michaels in the 90s, because that's what JD Michaels loves. And dude, they would come out with new gear with chains and different colored leather. And every week when JD and them were when they were tag champs, JD would change the leather color on the belt to match their gear. So he was making weight belts for guys like Ryback and Cody, like all those custom belts like that. So some of the guys right in your locker room might be a gear maker, or if you're just starting out, hone your craft, you can become the top person making gear. You know what I mean? But right now, that's how a lot of people are doing it. Word spreads like, hey, we found this fashion designer, and so she made Charlotte's robe, and she made Cody's. Like, it was on the young lady I'm talking about was actually on Road to the Top. So that was when she delivered Cody's jacket that was like the American, the guy in The Boys wore something similar to
Homelander, yeah.
Homelander, right? Thank you. But that's really how it's kind of going down now. And there's bootmakers in Mexico, a lot of people in Florida making gear. But if there's somebody you like, you reach out to them on Instagram, be like, hey, who makes your gear? They're gonna at you back and put over who does their stuff. So it's as crazy as you want to get with it. Some things like those custom robes and shit can cost $1,000 to $3,000. Like maybe even more, to be honest with you, of what you want to put into it. But usually, and there's people in New York City that my man Blaze Haram is using, and he just got a bunch of new stuff. So did Rick Recon. They look really good, and now they're getting shots on AEW and MLW. So if you want to go from an indie level, you have to like invest in your gear, and they're going to see, hey, this guy's got good gear. He looks TV ready. He can work. All that's the total package. If you can work, but you look like shit in some high spot stuff, that's how they're going to look at you, So really, you can find, I would say, probably a dozen to 20 decent gear makers in the US and UK and Australia right now who turn stuff around pretty quickly. And that's the other thing. Used to be everybody be ordering from high spots. You'd be waiting fucking 12 weeks for your shit, right? And like people are like, is it ever coming? Well, we're backed up on orders and da 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 da. Usually you can turn things around. I got boots from Steve the Shoe Man in 3 weeks from Australia. Like, that's a pretty goddamn fast turnaround, man, of creating something custom to your front door at the missile silo, So it's all about which person you like, and finding that gear maker, and hopefully getting in their pecking order of being able for them to fit you in, or you pay double and jump the line if you really need it, like money talks, bullshit walks at the end of the day. But that's kind of how things are going right now. So there's somebody you like, obviously you're probably following my IG, hit them up. That's what I would say.
With the singlets, I think that's good for some guys, not good for others. For some reason, Kevin Sullivan didn't like Mr. Perfect wearing the singlet. I don't know why. He was saying he shouldn't have worn the singlet. I have no idea why. He was always hung up on that.
I
But I think
disagree with I got to disagree with that.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't like Perfect, but he liked the Steiner brothers or whatever, or Angle wearing it, but for some reason he didn't like Perfect wearing it.
Perfect
Interesting.
seemed like a collegiate wrestler, right? He had
Plus,
a
he did that thing, and they did the Perfect. He takes off the
yeah,
strap and it's
dude.
Perfect.
That's
Like,
that
yeah,
the same thing with Jerry Lawler. Take the strap down
yeah,
and
yep,
give you the punch, right?
yep.
Was it Funk? I can't remember who Lawler was saying, but like pulled the strap down. Oh no, it wasn't the Funk. It was Stevie. He fucking Lawler pulls the strap down. Stevie goes over and pulls the strap back up on him again. No, don't hit me
Yeah,
with that. Pulls it down and then hits him so that it's a knockout punch. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yep.
I gotta disagree professionally with Sully on that one because I liked the orange, the baby blue.
Hmm.
That was an
Yellow.
interesting
Yep.
thing where a heel is wearing bright colors. So that kind of goes against what I was saying earlier because maybe he's drawing you in to want him as a baby face. So when he heals out even more, it means something because you liked him because of that and you feel betrayed a little bit psychologically. That's an interesting point. But I think a singlet reinforces collegiate wrestling. And collegiate wrestling, amateur wrestling, is really the professional wrestling because it's a shoot. And I think guys wearing that emulates that. Guys wearing speedos emulate some weird old Greek. Let's roll around with the boys to me. I don't know.
Yeah. But it's
Um,
funny, Scotty Steiner obviously takes off the singlet and goes for the regular tights because of his freaking body, and he wants to
Right. Oh,
show it off.
sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
But Rick Steiner, they came from Michigan, wears the singlet and it reinforces amateur wrestling, you know? And that's what Perfect was when WWE brought him in because when he was in NWA, he wore trunks. He didn't wear
AWA,
singlet
yeah,
all the time.
yep,
AW, excuse me.
yep.
Um, all the time. So that was, I think, a choice to make him look like a collegiate wrestler coming out of there and reinvent that. But he was a body guy, but it's not like you looked like he needed to be fat. I thought it always worked. And I think it's more comfortable. I would rather wrestle in a singlet than I would that too. One thing I don't like, and it works for some guys, especially lucha guys and whatnot, to make them look like um the cartoon video game characters are supposed to be. But this kind of came about, and in my era when I was coming up, and I think it's stupid, and it really led to thigh slapping. It really this piece of gear, and that's kick pads. Guys wanted to incorporate Muay Thai in. They didn't want to buy boots, so they could get away wearing Asics wrestling shoes and then put kick pads over the top of them. That's kind of a welfare way to do your gear, in my opinion.
Yep.
Like, and then once guys had kick pads, they would do the stupid kick to the chest ROH bullshit, and then they start slapping their thigh. So I hate kick pads for a lot of reasons. And it also makes you a lazy worker because now you can just kick guys instead of learning how to work safe. And that's just fucking stupid and a mark way to do things, in my opinion. And dude, I'm talking Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, like, and once those guys got over doing that shit, it set a trend for a whole litany of shitty indie workers to get one pair of tights, kick pads, and some Asics, and now I'm off to the races as the next fucking hot young property, bro. And I still see it to this day. And I get young guys might not have money for gear, and then I kind of excuse it with like, okay, he'll get there, but I was there when that trend started, and I thought it was the shits. And it was always from guys who don't look believable as men in the ring to me. It's always from smaller guys who got to get their shit in to prove something instead of serving the show. And the not always, I don't want to say always, that's too stupid of an absolute, because I know plenty of great workers who wear kick pads, but they were influenced by that weird ROH 2004 to 2010 generation of doing that stuff, man. And maybe they boosted it from New Japan, but I am not a kick pad guy. But they can look awesome if they add, something to the entire outfit, like the Rey Mysterio Iron Man type thing.
To me, I know you love this guy. He could talk a little, he could work a little, but his look is awful. His ring gear is the worst I've ever seen, and that's Kevin Owens. That automatically to me, as soon as I look at him, not a star. As soon as I look at him,
Yeah,
and I
man.
know you're gonna say you like him because he's a good brawler or whatever, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of that look.
I like him because he's great on the mic in the moment. I mean, I like him because like me, he's out of shape, but he can work
Yeah.
and do stuff.
Yeah.
So like,
Very athletic.
and to me, he's the proof, like myself, that character trumps all. You know what I mean? And in the moment, Kevin Owens is awesome on the mic. I've seen him do just great things of like, yeah, we got this plan, but I'm going to go out and say this, and then the crowd will respond a certain way, and he goes right off of script and just is in the moment responding. Not a lot of wrestlers can do that, and that's what makes a show for somebody, because they know it's not phony, because he engages the audience like the hecklers they're supposed to be, like a great comedian can, and fucking give it right back to him, and then come over the top on him and be smart. And then later on in the match, he'll have somebody in a hold, and he knows to go over and motherfuck those guys like that to get a bigger response, dude. That's a real worker.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, if you're in WWE, you're being paid to train and be fucking the best of the best. You gotta lose the pounds, man. And especially everybody else is on the Florida water. What are you doing?
What about
Um,
cut off t-shirts and shorts?
I know, right? So if we're gonna do dad bod, then we got to commit to dad bod, and we got to tell that story. I don't have a problem with that. We can get anybody over. But yeah, dude. Even when Bully Ray came back from wearing what I wear pretty much in cutoffs, into the basketball jersey and the chain, the John Cena lockdown chain, it worked as a reinvention. You know what I mean? He looked street. So not to say Kevin Owens needs to look super street, but what would you put him in that would make him look a certain way? You know what I mean? I'd love to see him shave off 30 pounds. That'd be the first thing.
Yep.
A little more definition in the arms. But then what do you put the smart mouth dad guy bod in to make him look badass,
I don't know. Singlet, I guess. Put him in a singlet. I don't know.
Maybe singlet. It's a tough call, man. Like that because he's always wrestled in that kind of, and you can even go back and see him in his singlet days, and it looks like okay, but like, what does a badass dad look like? You know what I mean? Is it flannel shirt cut off and something along those lines, but then he's going to look like a French Canadian lumberjack. So they don't want to go that way. It's kind of a tough call with him, dude. So he does what I do. You don't have a body, wear your merchandise t-shirt and fucking what's what. But we probably could have some stronger choices leg wise with the KO stuff. I think he can wear the tight long pants and have good graphics. I think him being on the mic, a great thing for him to do is not emulate it fully because he's a married guy, but do rib things like when Jake and Rick Rude were doing stuff, right, with Sherry on there. What if he came out with like other guys painted on his tights that he was having a feud with? Like, I don't give a shit. Like, you could have funny, like his mind would come up with something good enough to be like, there's the heat on the tights. So the tights could become the thing of what's Owens going to come out with as an FU. Like, there's a lot of little tricks that way you could do to get him over. But I'd keep, yeah, if he lost the weight, he could wear a singlet and long pants, and I think he could pull it off.
It's just one of those things where it's like some guys got to realize like that's a big importance there. The ring gear is super important.
And it hurts him like toys wise because the guy can get himself over. You know what I mean? So I don't know. You guys let us know who are listening to this right now. 2-Man Power Trip Pro Wrestling 101 at Hamin Media Group. What would be a good thing for Kevin Owens to wear in the ring that wouldn't hurt the way he looked body wise, but would help reinforce the character? I mean, what is his character right now?
I don't even know.
Yeah, dude, me neither, man. Unfortunately.
What are just in general? What is the tights like made from? Is it just all spandex? Like what is?
Spandex, nylon, lycra combination, and I think usually 70% spandex or 80% and 20% lycra and nylon, so it stretches a little, so it breathes while the stays form fitting with the spandex. So with me, I've had two things made that I hated after I had them made because my body looked like the shits in them. But then, I mean, I like the design two things that are tough for me is I have two terrible tattoos that go against everything I stand for that I got when I was younger while I was being tortured at Guantanamo Bay. And I have to keep those covered up. So I have to have anything I wanted to do that way would be kind of the MVP cut, that swimmer thing. And it's like,
Yep.
if I even a little bit too heavy, it looks like shit. Combined with long pants. The other thing is I got no ass because it got blown off in an IED explosion. And so I have to really have a belt to hold my shit up. So that's why I like wearing military stuff, because I got the double reinforced belts and all that kind of shit. I feel comfortable that my pants aren't coming off in the ring. So you got to have a tailor that can really make it to your body type and form fitting that way. You can't, that was a lot of guys would order shit on high spots. It'd show up and it wouldn't even come close to fitting. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So a good seamstress or tailor is going to ask you a lot of questions from inseam, outer down the side of your leg, waist, from ankle to crotch, cross from the length of your shoulders and hips, how long your torso is. Like, if they're not asking you all that, you're not going to get a product. The chance of you getting a product that's really going to fit you, as opposed to yeah, it looked good on the mannequin, but this shit isn't functional in the ring. Another thing with ring gear I wanted to say, sorry, Poz, I know I'm going on here, but I don't like a lot of this shit with like what Sasha wears with extra chains and fucking tassels and shit like that. Dude, I used to get so paranoid for like 2 years watching Mickey James wear those big bell bottoms, bro. I'm like, how is she not stepping on that and breaking her ankle on almost everything? Like, her gear terrified me of her getting hurt. But with those chains, dude, if you're going to do something and I get my finger caught in that chain while you're going to shit can me, that finger could come off if it's the right situation, or wrong situation. So
Right.
a lot of extra tassels and shit on your gear and little metal things. If we get closer, get in the wrong position, that could take out somebody's eye. You know what I mean? Rhea Ripley had a lot of extra buckles and shit on her stuff early on. I don't think she does anymore. So that the buckles and big extra fanfare pieces, those got to come off when you're done with your entrance. You know what I mean? You can't be wearing those. You might want to look cool. And all the spacers and nose rings and shit along those lines, that's got to come out too. Don't wear a goddamn necklace in the ring when you're wrestling me either. I don't feel like getting hooked and caught on that shit and getting fucking gigged up just because you want to look like a cool guy. I've had two people do that, and I watched one guy with those fucking ear spacers get his ear fucking fucked all up from it too. It didn't go completely off, but almost all the way through.
Oh man, gross.
Yeah.
Feel like Sasha Banks though, great gear as far as like a guy perspective, and like I and be like flicking the channel through or whatever. You're like, who the hell is that? Like, her
Oh
gear is
yeah.
very, very sexy, very provocative, like perfect gear for her. Becky Lynch, the exact opposite. Her gear is awful. Like, she's got a
Yeah.
great body and everything else, but like, what is that gear?
I
It's
don't know
just
if she's
awful.
making her own stuff or what. And
Yeah,
even
terrible.
how it
Oh
not
man,
doesn't reinforce her character. Right
nope.
now, Becky Lynch is a what? Baby or heel?
Heel,
What did she come out wearing on Monday Night Raw?
white,
All white. Then what did she do when she hit the ring?
pander to the crowd.
On all four sides, went around and held up the belt. That is not, wearing white and doing that does not make you. Those are the two opposite of what being
And the whole, like, covering up the whole body thing, like, terrible. Like, it should maybe learn from Carmella. Maybe Carmella might be too much, but, like, that's perfect gear, like, just to be like, "Whoa,
She
who the
did
hell is
just have
that?"
a
Yeah.
baby, so I'll cut her some slack there. You know what I mean?
But
So
she wears all the belly shirts when she comes out to do promos.
I get it. She's in shape. I'm not saying she's not working hard, but who knows what woman's feeling that day. But just the fact alone that you would come out there and confuse black hat, white hat, and then pander when you're supposed to be a top heel shows me that you're not the man.
Right.
You're very ignorant to what you need to be doing in order to get over as a heel, because right now you don't have any heat. Like, all those things like that kill your heat. So you're only going to be as good of a baby face when you switch back as much as you were a heel on the other side. Right now, you're so in the middle of you're barely on the heel side. I'm way down here in the spectrum,
Right.
like too, and like if you're to turn baby, you're just going to be on the other side of that line, and that doesn't mean shit either. So you got to commit to the bit fully with gear, with attitude, with all that kind of stuff, man. So and Charlotte does. I'm a lot of them do, and when they see you committing to your character and your gear, they're gonna push you. I know Lacey Evans bought like 6 pairs of different colored boots from Steve the Shoe Man with the thing for the hanky spot in the side there,
Yep.
and he put all the pockets on there. So she's even incorporating how her gear is functional into her spots of where they were going to go. And then, obviously she's a mom again, and who knows if we'll even see her again. So
I feel like almost like the inspiration for the awesome ring gear may have started with like Ultimate Warrior. You know what I mean? Like always changing the colors, changing the tights, like it's like that kind of thought. Flair always had great ring gear too, obviously in the
sure.
rope and everything else. But Sting, early Sting with the all cool colors before he became the Crow, always had different stuff. I feel like the guys got it maybe better back then. And obviously Mysterio, you mentioned, might be the king of the ring gear, but some guys get it, some guys don't. It's very important.
A big splash of color is a bold choice, and a bold choice is what we want in our heroes to live vicariously through. So I would agree with that fully. And Flair was pomp and circumstance in the '80s of showing wealth and all that. So you
Macho Man too. Yeah.
yeah, sure, Mach would switch things up. His was pretty simple. But always had fun boots as well. And then there's branded colors like yellow and red or black and white. You're going to think NWO, you're going to think Hogan. So, or pink and black. You only have to say the colors and your mind goes to it. Right. So,
Yep.
there's value in all that for sure. But I would say, yeah, those guys early on in the 80s took it from, do you wear red tights, black tights, or white tights? That's kind of what it was. And now we're making bigger Broadway costumes and more fanfare that way. And also the armbands were kinetic because he would run and you'd have things happening like that your eyes were pleased to see. So all those are sleight of hand magic tricks. It's the same as me waving the flag. Before I even come out, when you hear the call to Islamic prayer, I put the flag through the curtain so they know it's me before they even see me. The anticipation builds. Boom, I come through when the bass drops, So all of these little extra pieces should be not to add to the functionality of your heat, but also reinforce your character in the bigger stage picture of it all. That's, I think, a big takeaway from this ring gear wise, because we're in this shit because we're trying to entertain crowds and also get our own performance high and get back to the 8-year-old inside us. What would the 8-year-old do? You would draw yourself and make the coolest superhero version or villain version of yourself. Well, if we can get back to that, what is all of those things, and use your hopefully more advanced mind to round all that out, man.
Good point. And I think that's a perfect way to end it. And let's head towards the plugs. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. Check out the website, tmptempire.com. And of course, Patreon, patreon.com/tmptempire. Ben, what do you got?
Well, hey, man, that was great. I enjoyed talking about this. You know what? Actually, I was going to say too, to add this, what a
Oh, yeah.
cool tool is, and a lot of people have done this. This is way. I just don't have the time. I love it when they do it though. But I've had a lot of fans do these creator wrestlers of me, and you can import my pro wrestling t-shirt graphics and all this. It's like last wrestling game I played was SmackDown on PS2. So that'll tell you how far removed I am.
Yep.
But some of them send like me in flak jackets, war helmet.
That's
And
awesome. Yeah.
that's an awesome way to create gear and change colors and styles. Please, by all means, hit me up at Ben_Hamin if you love doing those creator wrestlers. I take that and look at that like, dude, I would wear that for gear. Some people come up with some awesome shit as designers. That's a great tool, I think, that is highly underutilized, because then I could send something to a gear maker and be like, I want this. Here's all my specs. What's the price? And you've already given them the vision. Now they all have to do is execute, man. So those creator wrestler things have developed so far that shit blows my mind every time I see it.
Yeah, pretty damn cool.
Yeah, man. But you can go if you want to dress like me, get yourself some camouflage pants and go to prowrestlingtees.com/Ben Hamin. Had a good time with no pants on, pal, cutting some cameos. Master Shoot Theater style, cameo.com/Ben Hamin. Looks like we're relaunched on channelattitude.com. I want to say thanks to everybody who bared with us through this summer. I know it was a lot of ups and downs, but I'll be uploading all the Hamin Media Group shows there if you want to subscribe. On Channel Attitude, we'll have a big relaunch, I'm sure, here soon. But Ultra Kayfabe declassified versions will be up there now. And I'll be back in the woods because it's hunting season, and I'll be out stalking the most dangerous game and cutting some inspirational and marketing promos and just catching up with you guys from my favorite spots deep in the North Woods with heavy artillery and guns all around me. So it'll be a good time at patreon.com/Hamin Media Group all fall long. So, but y'all, man, good to be back with you, JP, here on Pro Wrestling 101. Gear up, infidels. Y'all.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll see you right back here next week for a little Pro Wrestling 101. See you next week, folks.